guys, Susan here. Okay, let's talk about how the fashion industry is changing, how Vogue, American Vogue is adapting, the May issue of American Vogue, the Met Gala, and more. And that's what's next. So I like to look at magazines every once in a while just to kind of spur up the creativity. And I wanted to kind of go through this, and I haven't really looked at it completely. I just sort of briefly looked at one part, and I want to kind of go through it with you and talk about it as I go. And I want to talk about some significant things. I did see some interviews. I just saw an interview last night with Naomi Campbell and Anna Wintour, and it was very eye-opening, and I wanted to kind of talk about that. So we're going to talk about that because that is fashion, guys. And if you're new to my channel and you're just seeing me for the first time, I hope that you will stay and you will subscribe and click on that bell notification so you don't miss anything. If you like this video, please give it a like. It is very important to my channel that we do this in these days. And let's get to it. So I always like to work on the back of the magazine before the front. But so I wanted the back of the book also for many other reasons, and one of which is also that's where editorial starts, is in the back of the book. So I just briefly looked at this magazine, so I'm just going to go through it with you. So here we go. I like this part of it. This is similar to their other sister magazines where they have whole pages of influenced pieces, whether it's a color story or a particular look that's important at the time. And here it looks like there's more than just a color story going on. There's an influence over here, the Versace dress that J.Lo made famous, a palette of the reds and pinks and golds. The men's shirting, which I think is a huge trend that's happening right now. The white sneakers are still there. Yellow, they always try to show yellow, which is very, very difficult to wear, but it always pops in a magazine somehow. So I don't really know why they keep showing that. And the whole check and blue is also an important look right now. And just looking at this for the first time, it looks like a very 70s vibe, obviously, right? We've got the kind of the crushed velvet, the clunky shoes, the longer silhouettes. So, that's totally 70s. And here we go, more of that. Okay, so it's actually the whole issue, it looks like, has to do with past and present and the overlying or overlaying of the two. So I think that that's what this is. Like I said, I haven't read all the articles yet, but I want to get to the part where it talks about the Met. Then I found something that was really interesting, and I just love this. Look at this. I mean, this is just to let you know how difficult that is to do. I mean, to get the timing right of that burning and just the right amount of the pink and the red to match the rose gold on the actual watch itself is phenomenal. Love it. Using just a simple eggs and the way it's cracked. These are awesome. Let's get to the article about here, the Met. Okay, so it's called Once Upon a Time in Fashion. And what I learned from the video last night with that I watched with Naomi Campbell and Anna Wintour is that the Met Gala usually is in and it's going to be in October, she said. And then as I'm reading briefly, it says it's going to be the end of October. So this whole thing has to do with this was a past and present, and it was in the change of 150 years in fashion. And it is talking and it has with and this particular one is two-piece matching with the Christian Dior of the early 1947 collection, and the Watable Juna 2011 ensemble. It looks like there's leather. It's really kind of interesting because the way this is structured out, there's all kinds of structure to make that a cinch waist and then a protruding high hip. I'm not sure what they used inside of that garment to do that. I'm kind of looking, and it looks like even the zipper itself is stretched out in a way so that it kind of angles out. Very, very interesting. Very, very cool. So this is an exhibit. Leibowitz did most of the photographs of this. This is Boyle's preview of the collection and the exhibit. And this here we have a Charles James 1949 dress where he did a very angular bust. I'm not sure if you can see that. And then in 1984, it looks like Jean-Paul Gaultier did the pointy breast illustration as well. I also saw that in the Madonna costumes when he was doing the Madonna costumes in that same period, in 83, 84. And then here we have 1902 with the 18th century elements, and then we have 2018. So these are still within a century, but it's still going back with the 18th century menswear look, which is the cinched waist, the heavily embroidered jacket and fabric juxtaposed with the thin either laces or tulles or lighter weight fabrics that are soft and fluid to the structured piece that's here. This I found totally amazingly fascinating. This is 1885. They did bustles to actually achieve a 90 degrees, which is just very difficult to do. I've tried my own version of it. And here's Yoshi Yamamoto in 1986. I love that transition, or that look in comparison to the old. It is just very, very cool, showing a usual Japanese clean line look, which is very difficult to do, to make this shape and not have so many different pieces, and then the softness and the poofness of that bustle. Awesome. 1987, Christian Lacroix, and 1952 here, this tulle dress by Charles James. Wish you could see more detail, frankly, on this. Is this heavily embroidered with grosgrain embroidery, so it was like grosgrain ribbon, I think, was actually the embroidery for the dress. It was using grosgrain as a 3D going this way. Over here it looks like this is silk tulle, and I've used silk tulle. I love silk tulle. Super, super expensive, and you have to use tons of it to achieve even a simple look. Okay. And here we are with the exhibit makers, okay? So we have Andrew Bolton near left, and Nicolas Goussier, Louis Vuitton creator, director of menswear. And so Bolton is here. He's the curator. He's the one that does all the Met Gala, Met Museum, Archive Museum pieces. And then he teams up with a different designer or a different look or a different idea. And he's teaming up with Nicolas Goussier. And so he's doing this amazing collaboration with him, which I thought was just so timely at this point. You know, here's more. This is a Louis Vuitton cape that looks like they're saying like the inner workings of an actual clock, which is fascinating. And this is another article which I haven't read yet, but it's the portrait of a lady, but it's showing the silhouettes here of 1919 and 2012. So almost a century later, you've got that same kind of silhouette and look. And then, of course, the magazine basically just has advertisements and everything else. Nothing too much has changed about the magazine. But what I found interesting of what Anna Wintour was saying in this last interview that I saw last night is that, you know, fashion is going to be changing. We're going to have to pull for more creativity. And we're going to have to slow down a little bit, which is really, really interesting, because fashion was so fast, right? We were doing so much fast fashion that we couldn't even keep up. And now we're going to slow down. We're going to be more meticulous about what we actually create. and we're going to be more mindful of what we create. So I wanted to do just that quick video on the Vogue magazine, a little input on what's going on in fashion itself, and there's still a lot to see. We're not really sure where this is going yet. This is just the beginning, but I wanted to do that little update. So if you love this, give it a thumbs up, keep watching my videos, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.